Welcome to the Voiceover. My name is Wyatt Ashlock. I'm an independent journalist, filmmaker, and movie critic. Each episode, I will dissect a different movie and give you behind-the-scenes details you may not have known. Welcome to the Voiceover. Hi everyone, welcome to the Voiceover, and today we will be dissecting The Batman. Now before we go any further, I just want to state that there will be no spoilers for the first half of this episode. That there will become a point in this episode, and there will be a warning where we're going to get into spoiler territory. But if you want a spoiler-free review, then this is where you start watching, and we're going to talk about The Batman. And today we are talking about The Batman, which came out in 2022. And I'm super excited about this film and getting to dissect it because I absolutely love The Batman. It's such an amazing film and I can't wait to talk about it. So we're going to start with a plot description. The Batman, who is 2 years into his term of being a vigilante in his new project, not even referring to himself as The Batman yet. He ventures into Gotham City's underworld when a sadistic killer leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues. As the evidence begins to lead closer to home and the scale of the perpetrator's plans become clear, he must forge new relationships, unmask the culprit, and bring to justice the abuse of power and corruption that has long been plagued in Gotham City. Alright, the cast. Robert Pattinson plays Bruce Wayne / the Batman. Zoe Kravitz plays Selina Kyle, aka the Catwoman, even though she's never referred to as the Catwoman. It is assured that she is the Catwoman. Jeffrey Wright plays Lieutenant James Gordon. Colin Farrell plays Oz / the Penguin, as we would all know him. Paul Dano plays the Riddler. John Turturro plays Carmine Falcone. Andy Serkis plays Alfred, and the director is Matt Reeves. All of these cast members were phenomenal in their roles, from beginning to end. Robert Pattinson is the one who surprised me the most. He found the perfect level of broodiness to bring to this dark vigilante who's lost all hope, who doesn't think he can do any good as Bruce Wayne and can only function as a vigilante. And he does a great job at portraying that character throughout. Even the few scenes where we get to see him as Bruce Wayne is phenomenal. It's so good. The way that he portrays this character. We have yet to see Robert Pattinson play the playboy billionaire type style that we're used to seeing from the Batman, being like a spoiled brat during the day and then the Batman during the night. We've yet to see that because we're still working on that throughout this film and the films to come. But he does an amazing job at playing the Batman. The emotions that he portrays, especially playing this role of a vigilante guardian angel who doesn't see himself as a hero, but sees himself as the one who keeps the city from falling apart and is trying to save it. And he just does an amazing job. Zoe Kravitz plays an amazing Selina Kyle. She was definitely who I expected. Her role was not a surprise to me the way she portrayed it. I thought Zoe Kravitz would do amazing, and she did. The kind of two of the biggest standouts for me of this cast were Colin Farrell as the Penguin. I didn't know what to expect. I knew the Penguin was going to be in this movie, but the way that Farrell played it was just phenomenal. He did such an amazing job, and it surprised me how good he was, and I was like, yes, because I saw him on screen. I was like, yes, this guy right here, he's the Penguin. I was like, I believe it. I feel it. All the like prosthetics and the makeup that went into making him the Penguin, just, it looked so good, and he did such an amazing job. And the other one that really surprised me was Andy Serkis playing Alfred. I didn't even know he was playing Alfred until I was sitting in the theater watching the movie, and I was like, there's no way he's playing Alfred, right? Because the things I know him from, the biggest thing I think I know him from is the director of Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, and also playing the guy on Age of Ultron and Black Panther, who's kind of a more like funny comedic character, like Ulysses Claw. He's kind of silly and out there, so I've never seen him play like a serious role like this in my experience with movies, and he was amazing Alfred. Like, I always see Michael Caine as like the Alfred, like him in the Dark Knight trilogy. He's just Alfred. Like, that makes sense to me that he would be Alfred. But Andy Serkis did a phenomenal job, truly. Jeffrey Wright as Lieutenant Gordon was phenomenal. Everyone did an amazing job. I don't think there was a single person in this movie that I was like, yeah, mediocre, not good. Like, everyone did such a great job, and I think that's one reason why this movie is doing so good, is because this cast is amazing. And we got to talk about the main antagonist, of course, the Riddler. Paul Dano, wow, he is not what I was expecting from my Riddler. For like the Riddler, he's not at all what I was expecting, but I was blown away. Like, he definitely took a different portrayal of the Riddler than what we're used to, but also it fit with the style that Matt Reeves was trying to portray, and so that's why I think it truly worked for this more like social media guru who was like talking to his viewers and just had a different style than the Riddler from the comic books or even the Gotham show, where he's, in the suit and the top hat with the cane and the coat and being like, riddle me this or riddle me that. But the riddles were still there, and they were done in such a way that like it worked for his character, and I thought he did an amazing job. And so next, let's talk cinematography. Okay, so the cinematography for the Batman, it's phenomenal from beginning to end. The 2 hours and 56 minutes of a runtime seems like a long time, and it is a long time. It is a long time to sit and watch a movie, but the cinematography was phenomenal from beginning to end. The thing that I've said about the Batman is it's not a superhero film. And I say this knowing the Batman is a superhero, but I see this as a film about a hero and not a superhero film, because it's very artsy, it's very like well done, but it's not like when you go see Iron Man, you're like, I expect a lot of explosions, fast pace almost the entire time. This movie does not do that. It takes its time, works on character development, introduces the character slowly over time, and there are some epic action moments and some fight scenes, and those are great, don't get me wrong, those are amazing. But the film in and of itself is a very much the style of like a detective meeting a detective and what he does, because that is the style of this film. He's the Bat Detective, and I think that's one of the reasons that this movie works, is they didn't treat it like a superhero film. They treated it like a film starring the Batman, and it just worked. It just worked. I can't even like explain it other than it doesn't focus on the CGI and the action fights to like keep you intrigued. It does that by its plot and its story, and the story is what hooks you in just this emotional dark roller coaster of a story. Which, speaking of the story, it's such an amazing story. It's so good. It's about Batman early on in his career. and he doesn't think he can do any good as Bruce Wayne. And that's kind of throughout this whole movie, is he doesn't want to be Bruce Wayne. He just wants to be the Batman, or Vengeance, as he calls himself. And that's all he focuses on, and it works. It works for his character. One of the biggest things that stood out to me is Batman's no-killing rule. This really stood out to me because a lot of times you'll see this be debated in the comic books and in movies. Can Batman kill? Why would he? Why wouldn't he? And this version, Robert Pattinson's Batman, does not kill. And I think that's something that really stands out, because throughout this film, even when all hope seems lost, he still does not kill. And I just think that's one thing that stands out about the Batman for me personally, especially in this movie. It's just the no-killing rule, and the entire story is well done. It takes its time, it paces itself. There are moments that are filled with action, but other than that, it's just character development and telling this mystery story. And like, you're trying to figure out, okay, who is the Riddler? Who is he gonna kill next? Like, you have the hints that the Batman does, and you also get like opportunity and time to figure it out, because it doesn't run from point A to point B. It takes its time and just walks there from point to point, so that you can also try to figure it out. And I think that's just one of the things that works for it. The score for this movie, let me tell you, Michael Giacchino, and I'm sure I said his last name wrong, and I do apologize for that. His score, wow. Michael Giacchino also did the score for Tom Holland's Spider-Man No Way Home, and for Star Wars Rogue One, and Doctor Strange, and the Disney Pixar Up. All of his scores are amazing. This score was perfect. Like, he did a phenomenal job at capturing the essence of this film in the music version of it, to where if you listen to the music alone, which I do, I listen to movie scores, then you would just be like, you would know who the Batman is, and it would capture his essence, which I think is one of the things that stands out the most about it. Alright, so now we're going to get into kind of spoiler territory here. So if you haven't seen The Batman, feel free to click away, and that is A-okay. Come back after you've seen The Batman. But we're going to talk about some scenes that really stood out to me throughout this movie, some character choices and some development that I loved, and so that's where we're going to go from here. So, one of the things I want to talk about is the hallway scene. We see it in the trailer. We don't get to see the full thing in the trailer, but in the movie, the Batman is getting to Carmine Falcone in his lair, and there's the scene in the hallway where everything goes dark. The doors open with a flashlight. The flashlight goes out, and we know that the Batman is in this elevator somewhere. And all these people pointing their guns at him, and it's only lit by the gun flashes of the gunshots. And it is a beautiful scene. It very much mirrors Star Wars Rogue One, the scene where Vader shows up in the hallway at the very end. These two scenes very much match up with each other, but it's such a powerful scene, and it resonates with people. And the reason it does is because it's not CGI. Matt Reeves made sure to do this like realistically, because he knew that it would stand out to viewers, even on a subconscious level, which it does. I've heard many people who talked about that scene being like, that is one of my favorite scenes. And when I tell them, I'm like, that was practical. Like, it was all practically shot. It's mind-blowing. And they're like, I had no clue, but it looked so good. And that's because Matt Reeves made sure to not rely on CGI when doing this film, which I think definitely makes this stand out as a DC movie, to not focus on the CGI. Because Marvel is known for that. CGI sets, CGI costumes. But to have a movie that uses CGI but doesn't rely on it, really makes it stand out as a good quality movie. Not that using CGI makes it a bad movie, but that's just something else that makes it, they had to work even harder to make it look good because they didn't rely on CGI. Which, that makes me think of the next scene I want to talk about. The scene where Batman's driving the Batmobile and he's chasing the Penguin on a highway. And the Penguin causes a car wreck. And there's a big explosion. And then we see the Batmobile flying through the flames and landing on the other side.
Psycho! I got you!
And that was also shot practically. Like, it's such an amazing moment. And my favorite scene of the movie, like one of my favorite scenes of this entire movie, and that's because it was shot practically and it looks so good from a cinematic standpoint. And it's the fact they don't even just show the Batmobile going through the flames, they show it through the mirror on the Penguin's car, which just applause to Matt Reeves, because that scene is just amazing. It's so good. Something I didn't notice on my first watch through, but I noticed watching it again, is the final scene where Batman is hanging on to this wire. Water's filling in the arena, and it's the electricity is going to touch it, and it's going to kill everyone. And Batman taking that batarang, slicing it, and falling into the water. I didn't understand the significance of this scene when I first saw it, but re-watching it, I understand what this scene was telling us. Because when Batman emerges from the water, he saves Mayor Real, he saves the kid, and he holds up the light from the flare that he uses, and everyone follows him. And that right there at the very end is the moment where he was no longer vengeance, but he became the Batman. It was a metaphor for baptism, becoming something new, and that is what he did. He went in as vengeance, and he came out as a superhero. So, to wrap this thing up, I want to give my thoughts on The Batman as an overarching movie. It's phenomenal from beginning to end. It truly deserves so many awards, and it deserves to be watched, because I know there are a lot of people who aren't happy with dark and broody Batman, but this movie does it right. There are movies that don't do it right, but this one does. And I can't recommend this movie enough to anybody, because it is so good from beginning to end. I wasn't sure going into this how I was going to feel about Robert Pattinson, the guy from Twilight, playing the Batman. But he blew me away with his performance, the story, the score, all of it. Everything just works in this movie. It works and it's good. There are a lot of people who say it was way too long, and I disagree with that. I thought it was the perfect time, that everything, it took its time like it should have, and it just worked. It worked. And so that's why I think The Batman deserves a 5 out of 5 spiderwebs. I want to thank you all so much for listening to this first episode of The Voiceover. Thank you all so much for listening to The Voiceover, and we will see you here next time. Have an amazing day. Thank you all for tuning into the voiceover. Please go to whiteashlock.org to check out some of my other movie reviews, some of my feature writing, and some short films I've worked on, and some of my other content. And until then, we will see you here next time on The Voiceover.